Welcome back to the third lecture in the animal physiology series. Now, when we talk about a system, every living system is calibrated to function at certain optimal physical parameter. What does that mean? That means that, let us take example of human body, where most of the reaction or almost all the reaction takes place in a aqueous medium, in other words in a medium of water. Most of the reaction takes place at a temperature regime of 25 to 35 degrees centigrade. Body maintains optimal temperature in and around that range. We can withstand a certain amount of pressure, beyond that we are having problem. We are adapted to live at a specific oxygen tension as well as at a CO2 tension. Beyond that we will be having trouble. So, in other words, the dynamic systems are tuned or fine tuned to function within a narrow or slightly broad window of physical parameters. Now, if there is a change in those physical parameters, what do I mean by that? Say for example, your body is adapted to withstand say 30 degrees centigrade, fine, suppose your body functions perfect at 30 degrees centigrade. So, if the temperature of the surrounding rises to say 45 degree, so automatically the outside temperature is very high, so automatically your body will absorb a lot of heat. So, from 30 degree optimal temperature it will go up. So, in that situation body has to recalibrate itself. This is one example. Or say for example, your body is adapted to live at a specific oxygen tension, and suppose you are climbing mountains. As you are climbing higher and higher, and as the atmosphere is getting rarer and rarer, the oxygen tension reduces. At a higher altitude there is lack of oxygen. So, automatically because of lack of oxygen you will be inhaling lesser oxygen. So, under that situation your body will have to recalibrate itself in order to ensure or compensate for that lack of oxygen, which is not available because you are at a different ecological niche. Similarly, if you go down the ocean, you are doing scuba diving or something of that sort, where there is no oxygen and the pressure is high, how you adapt to that hyperbaric or hypobaric pressures. So, all these situations will point to one aspect, that body has a mechanism by virtue of which it can recalibrate itself, and the process which is involved in it is called homeostasis. So, today we will talk about how the body maintains its homeostasis, what is the basic feature, what are the basic component which helps in maintaining the homeostasis, what are the different kind of feedback systems which are involved in it. Mostly there are two feedback systems, negative feedback loop and positive feedback loop, and apart from it we will talk about some of the examples of negative feedback and positive feedback. So, let us start the class with which is our third lecture, lecture 3, and the topic what we will be dealing today is homeostasis and system integration. Homeostasis and system integration. what this word homeostasis means. If you break this word into two parts, say for example, you said homeo as the one word and stasis as the second word. So, homeo means unchanging, which is not changing, plus stasis means standing. So, the body maintains its status or recalibrate it, and this whole process is called homeostasis. So, in other words, in a simple language, if you put it, that means existence of a stable internal environment, existence of stable internal environment, This is what is meant by homeostasis, and a homeostasis is the one which leads to what we call as system integration. A system gets integrated because a system can recalibrate itself by different mechanism in order to allow it to function. So, now from here let us move on to the next slide, where we will talk about what are the different mechanisms of homeostasis. So, homeostasis could be classified into two parts. One is the autoregulation or intrinsic homeostasis, and the second one is extrinsic homeostasis. An example of such things, say for example, if it is autoregulation or intrinsic, say for example, we have a tissue and this tissue is, say for example, this is used to with a particular concentration of oxygen, okay, X concentration. So, now X minus Y concentration of oxygen, now this tissue is receiving. So, it means there is this minus Y reduction in the optimal concentration. Say for example, I say 5 unit of oxygen is needed per minute. Now, you are getting 3 unit of oxygen per minute. It means there is a deficit of 2 unit of oxygen which is there. What this tissue will do? Now, in this situation, what this tissue will do is, there are blood vessels which are bringing the oxygen to this tissue, and we will come later into that how these are designed and everything. So, what it will do, these blood vessels which are present there, sensing that there is a lack of oxygen here, they will secrete certain things all by themselves by sensing lack of oxygen, X factor. This factor X will change the diameter of the blood vessel. So, if originally the diameter of the blood vessel is like this, if this is the D, the original diameter DO, which is the original diameter, post secretion the diameter will become like this, which is the new diameter, D altered, dA. Now, what will happen, the amount of blood which will be supplied to this tissue will be more, and this more blood which is being supplied to the tissue will compensate for that minus Y amount of oxygen which is a deficit amount, will be compensated by this dilated vessel and the blood supplied through that dilated vessel. So, this is an example of autoregulation or maintaining the homeostasis. Okay. Now, what about the other one? When we talk about the second example, which is extrinsic situation. Extrinsic is a situation which is controlled under the control of, mostly, not always true, but just for your initial understanding's sake, is under the control of the nervous or the endocrine system. Okay. Say for example, there is a flame. So for example, there is a flame here, and by mistake you put your hand there. So automatically there will be a burning sensation. So immediately what it will do, the nervous system will govern the muscle here to immediately remove it, contract, and will try to localize the effect in that region. It will not happen that if you do so that all over your body you will have the burning sensation. So it will confine that burning sensation at that specific location. So this is governed by the nervous system or the endocrine system, or sometime by both of them. Okay. So this is one example of it. Similarly, when you are doing exercise, another example, let us talk about it. When you are doing exercise, okay. So when you are doing exercise, you are consuming more oxygen. So say for example, let us write it down. You are doing exercise, you are consuming more oxygen, and if you are consuming more oxygen, this will tell the heart to pump, heart pumping will become more, and if the heart pumping is more, automatically there will be more blood flow, which will compensate for the lack of oxygen. So in other words, these are the process by virtue of which a system is brought back to its original state, and that is what we meant by homeostasis, bringing back to its original state or trying to maintain its status quo where it was. Okay. So now from here what we will do, so now I have given you two examples, the autoregulation or intrinsic process and the extrinsic process where the nervous system and the endocrine system is controlling it. Next we will talk about what are the components which are bringing about this homeostasis, component of homeostasis. Okay. Let us talk about those components in homeostasis. Okay. So the component in homeostasis are, you first of all needed a receptor, first thing you needed a receptor or which acts as a sensor, we will come to that. Then you need a control center, third important thing you needed a effector which will take care of it, and we will give the examples of each one of these three situations. So your receptor is basically a sensor sensing a specific signal or stimulus, sensor sensing a specific signal or stimulus. Your control center is doing the work of integrating this signal, integrating and processing the signal, and your effector is executing the processed signal. Okay. So, these are the three components. So, before we proceed further, I will give you an example from our day to day life. Say for example, I am standing in this room. At this point, if I see the air conditioner board, panel will show that this room has been maintained at a temperature of say 24 or 25 degrees centigrade. Okay. So, it is the air conditioned room where I am standing. So, now what will happen if the temperature of the room all of a sudden goes up? Suppose there is a vent pipe from where a lot of heat starts coming inside the room, or a lot of hot air is blown inside the room. So, the room temperature thermostat is set of the air conditioner saying that it is at 23 degrees centigrade. So, if the temperature of the room goes up from 23 degrees centigrade, so automatically there will be a thermometer which will sense it, and once this thermometer senses it, it will tell the thermostat or the effector mechanism that there is an increase in temperature. Then what this will do? This will tell the effector, which is the air conditioner, to get operated and bring back the temperature from whatsoever it rises from 23 degrees centigrade, and it will bring it back to 23 where the 23 or 26 where the temperature of the room has been set. So, this is in a way you can call it, it is a feedback system. Let me draw it, that will make more sense to you people. Let us say for example, out here I have a normal room temperature. Okay. Normal room temperature, say I would say like 25 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now, for some way or other, normal condition is disturbed. Normal condition disturbed. Okay. If the normal condition is disturbed, so there will be a stimulus, that there is an normal condition disturbed. In other words, there is an, say for example, there is an increase in temperature. Okay. So, what will happen? This temperature will be monitored by, so in the form of receptor. In this case, the receptor will be a inanimate object, which is a thermometer. So, thermometer senses that there is an increase in temperature of this room. What this will do? This effect, there is an increase in temperature, will be transmitted information to the control center or thermostat setting. Information to control center, or which is also the thermostat setting. Thermostat setting. Okay. Once the thermostat setting knows it, it sends a command signal from here. A command signal is being relayed by the thermostat, sends command signal to effector, and this effector then turns on the air conditioner. So, your air conditioner is on. Now, that increased temperature, whatever that delta increase what has been happened here, so that delta increase will be brought down out here. So, the room temperature drops to set point, and in this case your set point is 25 degrees centigrade. It will and this will eventually normal condition will be restored, which is again 25 degrees centigrade. Normal condition restored. So, this is the kind of feedback rule what we use in any kind of engineered systems. And these feedbacks are all inspired from biological systems. Biological system exactly follows these kind of feedbacks. Think of a situation before I explain in terms of what happens. Say for example, you are running. After running, all of us sees that you are perspiring a lot. There is all your shirts and everything kind of get wet. There is huge amount of perspiration happening. Why is it so? What is the reason that when you run, after that lot of heavy exercise and there is a huge amount of perspiration, lot of sweat and everything. So, there is a feedback mechanism which is helping you. So, let us dissect it, and all physiology you have to understand, it is all about dissecting the situation, what possibly is happening in your body. As long as you have that analytical ability to break the problem into small bits and pieces, physiology will be a cakewalk. So, you have to have a very strong analytical bend to break a problem, and that is something you cultivate over years after years through your studies, through real life situation. A good doctor is the person who can analyze. He or she listens to the patient, and based on that they analytically break down the problem. Okay, possibly this, and based on that they prescribe medicine or prescribe test or make the diagnosis whatever they feel. Okay, now let us break this problem what just now I told you. Okay, let's go to the next page and try to dissect out the system what is happening. Okay, now so say for example, let's see. Now, we talked about the normal outside the system. Now, we will talk about homeostasis in a biological system. Homeostasis, where normal body temperature T degree centigrade. Okay. So, now this normalcy is being disturbed out here. Say for example, normal body temperature disturbed. It could be any reason. Okay. Now, let us assume that you are running, normal body centigrade disturbed. Okay. So, your stimulus here is rising body temperature. You are running, stimulus is rising body temperature. This stimulus will be sensed by certain receptors, and these receptors are present on your skins as well as in hypothalamus. I will tell you what is hypothalamus. So, these temperature T degree centigrade sensors are present on your skin and hypothalamus. So, where is hypothalamus? So, hypothalamus is a region of the brain pretty deep inside. If this is the part of my brain, pretty deep inside, if you like draw two pins somewhere from here, somewhere in the center there is a small organelle which is called hypothalamus, which is neuroendocrine system. That is the temperature controller. So, not only my skins are sensing that there is an increase in temperature, there is a hypothalamus which also senses there is an increase in the temperature. Once this happens, what will happen? So, this info or this information that there is an increase in temperature goes to the different control centers. So, here is the control centers what we are talking about. Okay. So, I told you where is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is, so this is the brain stem which is going, and hypothalamus is sitting somewhere out here, somewhere just out here. Okay. So, this info is reaching the hypothalamus, which is essentially is the control center. control center, and this is the thermoregulatory center. This is also called a thermoregulatory center. Okay. Now, at the thermoregulatory center, this hypothalamus sends a command signal. Okay. Sends a command signal okay. This command signal reaches the effectors. So, I told you there will be receptor, there will be control center, and who are the effectors here? Now, let us enumerate the effectors who are involved in this game. Effectors are sweat gland, okay, which sweat gland in skin increases, the upward arrow are showing increases the secretion of sweat, that is why you sweat a lot. And second thing what happens is blood vessel in skin dilates, blood vessel in skin dilates. Once these two things happen, the dilation means there is an increase in the diameter of the blood vessels. Just suppose if this is the original diameter in the green, this is DO, and this red color is showing DD, dilated diameter. And based on this, this leads to two things happens after this. Post sweat gland in skin increases the secretion in response. It leads to there is an increased heat loss from the body because your body temperature is high, increased heat loss through evaporation because you are sweating a lot as well as your blood vessels have dilated. So, your evaporation surface area has gone up, and second there is a increased heat loss through radiation. Again, that is because you have a more surface area, and this eventually leads to what we call as normal temperature restoration. And this whole mechanism is a negative feedback loop. So, this is how a negative feedback loop helps in maintaining the homeostasis in terms of temperature. Is it clear to you guys? Think over it whenever you sweat, whenever many such. So, you see what we try to do, we break the whole one thing that the body temperature rises because of exercise and we started sweating, and then we build the whole story. And this is exactly what I expect from you people from this moment onward. As soon as you listen to this lecture, you start dissecting. Think what all possibly could have happened. If the temperature rises, what will happen? If the pressure rises, what will happen? If the pressure falls, what will happen? Or if there is too much light, what will happen? If there is too much heat, what will happen? So, these are the parameters what you have to, and then based on that there are several levels of complications. Receptor, the molecular structure of the receptor, the cellular structure of the receptor. There are so many levels. The organismic level, what is the receptor size, within the control center, how this circuit is functioning, how this is getting transmitted, what is the mechanism of transport, how from this center the effector is being connected, what is the structure of the effector at the cellular level, at the molecular level, and so on and so forth, and how this whole system is integrated into one loop. Okay. So, this is one example of negative feedback.